As we listen to the sound of our Peace Bowl continuing, perhaps even through Zoom, through cyberspace, coming to your places, let us hold our hearts together as we all hope for peace. We begin this morning with a vision of what has been and what could be here in this world, in this time, in this town. Let us join our hearts together and begin to imagine and create within us a vision of glory right here.
Good morning and welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. I'm Marianne Erickson, Stewardship Chair and your Worship Associate today. We extend a warm welcome to all. We are really glad you're able to join us and we hope you are happy and in good health. We want to stay connected, so please join us for the breakout rooms after the service. This will give us time to chat with members and friends in small groups. If you are joining us for the first time, please check out our website for more information about Granite Peak UU Congregation at prescottuu.org. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate, spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. We extend our thanks to all who contributed to the presentation of our service today. Reverend Patty Willis, Ren Manning, Heather Knowles for technical direction, and Mary Lou Prince for musical direction. Although we are physically apart, we are still in community, and we continue with some of our meetings and activities via the internet. So please continue to check the Weekly Peak emailed newsletter, our website and Facebook page for announcements. And join our regular weekly Zoom meetings. The Wednesday Granite Peak Politics and Religion Forum at 10 a.m., storytelling on Wednesday at 2 p.m., and Friday lunch with Reverend Patty Willis and friends at noon. You will find connection information and other announcements in our order of service today. The Children's Faith Development online meeting will meet at 11:30 a.m. today. Please contact Bev Bostrom at bevbostrom@mac.com for the Zoom link. Reverend Patty will be at the congregation's backyard at 882 Sunset Avenue today at 3 p.m. for conversation. She has returned to Prescott following her leave, and we are happy that she is here with us today. Please remember our at-risk members and friends during joys and concerns, and contact Nancy Beeson if you are in need of any help from the caring team. The Empty Bowls Project, which is operated by our congregation and our sister congregation, Prescott UU Fellowship, is being held in a hybrid format this year due to the pandemic. Please read about the change plan this year for Empty Bowls in the order of service and check out the special Empty Bowls website that offers online ordering of bowls, bidding for silent auction art, and the opportunity to make donations to address the current increased food shortages in the Quad City area. The Food Justice Panel is this Tuesday at 6 p.m. on Zoom. Please look for registration information in the order of service. And now Ren will light the chalice for this morning's service.
Good morning, Granite Peak. This morning, our chalice lighting words are The Sacred Power of Justice by Jamie A. Yandel. We light this flame to ignite the sacred power of justice. We light this flame so that it may be a beacon of hope in moments of uncertainty, fear, anxiety, and the unknown. We light this flame and are emboldened by its blaze, knowing our strength as a prophetic and powerful people is rooted in the diverse ways we answer the call to love.
Good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be with you. Welcome to this place. Ren and I bring you this worship service to celebrate Ren's time with us and learn from their wisdom and envision the road ahead. Václav Havel is one of my heroes. A playwright growing up in the repressive Eastern Bloc, whose voice would not be silenced, who was imprisoned and rose to be a leader of a non-violent revolution. Looking around him during repressive times, he had to imagine something different. Let us gather our hearts at this time, for I believe his words are good for us in this moment. It is I who must begin, he writes. Once I begin, once I try, here and now, right where I am, not excusing myself by saying that things would be easier elsewhere, without grand speeches and ostentations, gestures, but all the more persistently, to live in harmony with the voice of being, as I understand it within myself. As I begin that, I suddenly discover to my surprise that I am neither the only one nor the first, nor the most important one to have set out upon that road. Whether all is really lost or not depends on whether or not I am lost. For all of us, as we are searching to find our way on this pilgrimage together, let us sing of when our heart is in that holy place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, yeah, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our hearts stirs within, and we shield the power of each other's faith. And our heart is in a holy place, then our heart is in a holy place, then our heart is in a holy place.
In this holy place, let us say our covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. I invite you again into the sound of this bell. As we think of all of the joys and sorrows that are shared around this community, in our greater community, in ever widening circles, let us call ourselves to this holy place. I invite you to put your feet on the earth and consider the earth. Beneath us, this solid earth holds us up as it has through our lives. Let us think of how beneath the surface, the carpet, the wood, the tile that is beneath our feet, there are layers and layers beneath us down to that fiery core of ever-changing earth. Let us hold this earth, the beauty we see around us, the trees, the animals, our beloved people. We hold today all of you and the joys and sorrows that you bring. We hold the people especially of Kenosha, Wisconsin. We hold Jacob Blake and his family, mourning the paralysis of his lower body due to a law enforcement officer. We mourn the death of Ann Stevens, a gentle soul among us. I know too that there are many among us who have lost people close to them. I invite you to hold our friends, Anna and her husband, Scott. Scott is in his last days, a young man who only a few weeks ago discovered that he had brain cancer and he is in the process of dying. And she said it supports them to know that we are holding them in our hearts during this time. I invite you now, for all of you have your Annas and Scotts and people on your heart, to say those names, and then we will enter into a time of silence, and I will end the silence through a prayer or meditation. James, George Floyd, Pocahontas Gertler, Jean Gertler, Spirit of life, we are here. We have shown up in community. We ask for blessings on all those who are experiencing loneliness, on all those who are experiencing grief. We ask for healing, for ways of healing this earth, for ways of bringing justice that could lead to healing. We ask for blessings on all those who are standing for justice. We ask for blessings on all those who are feeling fear. May they find ways, may we find ways to transform that fear into courage. In this moment, we ask to feel, even at our distances from one another, we ask to feel the warmth of this very human community gathered here, wishing we could reach out and hug one another, wishing this were over and we could meet in person. May we have patience until that happy day. May we see the work that is before us. May we reach out to others in the ways that we can. We are grateful for the scent of ponderosa pines, for the scent of the earth, for our beloved animals, for the people who call us and send us cards, and for the persistence and resilience of Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. May it be so. Amen. Let us now sing together, Walking, Walking with You. Walking with you is my prayer.
This is the time in our service when we normally gather the offering in the sanctuary. Let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather each week there. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. During the month of September, our recipient is Camp de Benneville Pines in Angeles Oaks, California. Many of our congregation's youth have camped there over many summers. The experiences they had and the friends they have made at Camp de Benneville Pines have tremendously enriched their young lives. And many Granite Peak adults have savored rest, relaxation, retreat, and camaraderie at the Pines as well. The camp has been around for almost 60 years, and your financial support will help to sustain it through the extended COVID-19 closure. To give during this distance time, please go to prescottuu.org. On the bottom left-hand side, click the word donate to contribute via PayPal. The link is also available in the chat on this video. Please note in the comment box or the memo line if you mail a check, if your funds are for your pledge, Seeds of Support, or a donation to Granite Peak if you don't have a pledge presently. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. And if you like, please sing along with the offertory music, Spirit of Life, hymn 121.
There is power in pronouns. Before I met Ren, I learned from someone, I don't remember who, that they used they and them pronouns. I made some mistakes and they forgave me. And soon after meeting, Ren and I spoke about introducing the idea of a variety of pronouns to our congregation. One Sunday, we had buttons to distribute. Do you remember that? When we could actually have buttons and see them. They were to wear during our worship services. We had buttons for they, them, and she, her, and he, him. And I knew that many of you didn't understand the why of different pronouns. But on that Sunday, Ren told us their story about what using those pronouns meant to them. And hearing those pronouns we heard gave Ren a sense of belonging. And I believe that many of you had that lightning flash that told you that maybe you didn't need to understand right away. You needed to shift in order to bring belonging to someone you loved and who was vulnerable enough to share their life story with us. This is one of the great gifts of Ren's time with us. So I have an idea about how we can honor Ren during our time when we can't wear buttons. I invite you to add your pronouns, as I have, to your name on Zoom. Remember that doing so will make people who we love among us feel at home. We can rise to this action. We can rise over and over again. Let us listen to Rise Up by Andra Day.
At the end of December, I'm moving to Tucson to live with my partner and do migrant justice work. I transition out of my position at the congregation in a couple of weeks. For years, people have said I should go to a city where there are more queer people, more young people, more diversity, more justice work, and I pushed back hard because justice work is everywhere. There are people of color here. There are undocumented people here. There are young people here. There are queer people here. Saying there aren't erases us. I respect and honor and love those rising up here and the resistance grown under harsh conditions. I affirm the struggles you choose are worth it. For me, that looks like growth in a different place for a while. I'm grateful to each of you. Granite Peak will always be my first UU home. What other place can I show up to a congregation fundraiser in 7-inch holographic platforms or have my minister boss and colleagues come to our drag show? Some people join our congregation because they see our Black Lives Matter banner. These things are beautiful. And there are still many deep cultural shifts that must be made to be truly welcoming to those of us that are queer, people of color, undocumented. Are you willing to do that work? From this ministry, I've learned the necessity of grounding in principles and spiritual practice. I have learned the power of communities of faith. I have learned the power of action as spiritual practice. I invite you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a breath. Put your feet on the ground as you're able, or simply feel where your body is located. Imagine we are together in the sanctuary. You can see light come in through tall windows under a lifted ceiling. Choir voices reverberate through an uncarpeted room. Our migrant center is bustling with activity. Children are playing outside next to a large neighborhood community garden. Your children or grandchildren attend a public bilingual school that teaches sustainability and justice. You ride a public bus around town. The city's energy is generated from local solar panels and wind. Everyone has food they need, free healthcare. Nobody is homeless. There are no murders at the hands of police. AOC is our president. People have a right to resources because we live here, regardless of which country we are born in. People are safe because we have an elaborate mutual aid network and methods of accountability and restoration. Is this 30 years from now? 15? 4? When you're ready, I invite you to open your eyes. The possibility of the future lies within this present moment, and none of that will occur without action now. And your vision may look a little different than what I've described. That's okay. What's more important to me is that we allow ourselves to believe that our vision is possible. That we believe that what is possible alone becomes possible together. Yes, we have lost many struggles. Jesus was still deported despite our fight. Miller Valley School was torn down. And we have also won things nobody thought possible because we believed and because we knew it was necessary and winning was our only option. Plaza Comunitaria, rights for people experiencing homelessness, scholarships for students without documentation, Black Lives Matter and immigration marches, drag shows. We have done this together in this place and more. A young Black woman called for a protest for Jacob Blake and Black Lives Matter at the Square Friday. Local militias and others gathered to counter-protest, heavily armed, staked out and organized around the square to intimidate us, aggravate, initiate violence. I was not surprised by their presence or threats, but it was a wake-up call for us to be creative, safe, adaptive. There's power in being driven by faith, by morals. Will you jaywalk during a march to stay united as a group? Are you more called by the law or your morals? What happens when the law is unjust or being unjustly enforced? What are you willing to do? We are called to plan, to mobilize, to organize. At General Assembly this year, our national gathering of UUs from across the country, almost 5,000 attended virtually. We voted on these two actions of immediate witness, invitations for congregations to focus on 1, Amen to Uprising, a commitment and call to action, which calls us to engage in larger movements to end anti-Blackness and defund the police, and 2, address 400 years of white supremacist colonialism, which calls us to address the European invasion of this continent, the genocide of the original peoples, and the ongoing destruction of our earth. It offers actions to take in solidarity with Indigenous-led movements. These are calls from our denomination, passed by our national membership. How will Granite Peak answer these calls? We've also been called for our justice work to incorporate projects in service, education, witness, advocacy, community organizing, and civil disobedience. This year for Empty Bowls, we're adding the educational element of a food justice panel on Tuesday, and I hope to see you there. Maybe next year there will be witness and advocacy too. In February, Noam Chomsky, a widely respected historian, cognitive scientist, and political activist, stated, "Without an exception, we can say that this is the most important election in human history." The stakes are high. Some say, depending on the results of this election, we may not even have an election in 2024. The Arizona Democratic headquarters were burnt down. Candidate signs disappear. The newspaper has reported false and misleading information about local candidates. Nationally, mail drop boxes disappeared. I urge you to support candidates that connect your values with money and time, to do whatever you can in the next 2 months to participate in Get Out the Vote, phone banking, and critical conversations with family and friends, and not let our theory of change stop at electing certain people, but rather keep organizing within the community for the world we want to live in. Remember how you felt when I asked you to envision a possible future? What you do now has an impact of if we can get there. Together, the impossible is possible.
This is a video of an actual camera safari in South Africa.
They're crouching.
She's quite big.
And what the lawyer was telling us while the video played is that when you're dealing with something powerful like the government or like white supremacy, often the victims are the smallest and the weakest.
She got him. Oh, she did. She got him.
And that is hopeless.
Drag him out. They're dragging
Like
him out.
we feel that the quagmire of race in America is hopeless.
There's a crocodile there too.
And just when you think it can't get any worse,
The crocodile.
it does. Charleston, South Carolina, and then Charlottesville, Virginia. Where does it stop?
Look at this. The crocodile's taking that baby away.
That is the definition
There are two crocodiles.
of hopeless.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
they're going to fight over it.
Some shit.
Oh my God.
Oh, he's coming for
Huge crocodile. Oh, look at those.
Oh,
The lions have won.
The lions are one.
Oh, the lions.
The Lions have won. Have they? Because Mom and Dad water buffalo
Chase the lion, but I think they're too.
went and got the whole herd.
I know.
The man who has what sounds like either a British or South African accent is actually a guide, and he said that he had never seen behavior like this before. And I feel like we, as a community, as a progressive community, as a forward-thinking community, have a lot more influence than we recognize. But sometimes we just mill around because we don't know what to do. And sometimes it will take one person, just one person, to step out and do something.
Whoa.
And my suggestion is that when you do
He's
that,
kicking at him. Look.
it actually
Kicking at him.
feels good. Watch him going back. Is there some strut in his step there? He's like, get the F out of here and don't even come back. And even when that person will step out of our group and demonstrate that there are things that can be done, sometimes the group is still not ready. And it takes one other person to do something
Ooh, they got him
maybe a
surrounded.
little more dramatic.
Jy kan maar kom, Jan. Hier's
And that one's.
Ooh.
And now everybody is involved. And they're like, no, don't just go away, keep going away. And remember, it was hopeless. There was no rational way to think that this was going to
The
succeed.
camp's still alive. Yeah, it's trying to get away. It's standing up.
It is. It's still alive. It's standing up. It's standing up. It ran away.
Got us back.
It got it back. It got him back. They do have him back.
Hierdie buffels het die leeu's weggevat van hy kleintjie af.
The lawyer in Indiana, or from Indiana, who showed us this, at the end of this film, said, "This is the most human behavior I've ever seen because it was hopeless, and they tried anyway."
Thank you, Ren. We're going to miss you, and we're going to do our best to keep your spirit with us. The video that you all just watched is someone's video from a trip to South Africa. It was part of a PBS special about the truth about the Confederacy, which you must see. It was led by Jeff Robinson, a lawyer with the ACLU, who had been asked. He showed this video because he'd been asked to do something that seemed an impossible task. And this video of the herd of Cape buffalo gave him courage. And I wonder, because it gave me courage, what would Cape buffalo behavior look like here in Prescott with humans? Did you know that there has been a new wave of threatening behavior towards people of color? You probably know, if you have read Pocahontas Gertler's book, that years ago, she and her husband, Jean, had to live with a Confederate flag waving from a neighbor's house and a noose hung in a neighbor's tree. And now, in this town, we have truckloads of white supremacists shouting to people of color to go home and making an imaginary gun and shooting them. This is terrorism in everybody's hometown. And my dream is that the people of Prescott wake up to the ugliness of racism, and that thousands show up at the square in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and our neighbors of color in Prescott. For there is no they, there is only we. This is a lesson that Ren taught me. They gently came to me after I had made a few of my videos as we were closing the doors of our building and settling into the unknown of a pandemic. I was so concerned about all of you, your mental and physical health, your feelings of well-being in this lonely, what seemed very lonely to some of you. Ren asked me, who is the we you are speaking of? Are you sure that everyone is sheltering, that everyone is lonely? And then I saw something. If we want to be a diverse, multi-generational congregation, we must rethink our we. We have people of color, we have children, we have working people among us. When we say we are a congregation of old white people, and I've heard that many times, we are not speaking the truth. But by seeing ourselves in such a limited way, we are limiting our future. We are saying those are the people who belong among us. And I don't think that is what we want to say. Our image for our worship services this year is a pilgrimage, a journey together and alone along this path that stretches ahead of us this year. Pilgrimages are journeys of intentional transformation. One of the most transformative pilgrims I have met and wish I could introduce you to is a man named Joe Bell. I want you to Google him after this service. In 2013, when I was serving in Salt Lake City, I received a call right before Father's Day that a man was headed our way, walking from Oregon, Joe Bell. He was walking to honor the memory of his son, Jaden Bell, who was 15 when he took his own life earlier that year. He was bullied relentlessly for being gay, both in school and online. Joe spoke at our Father's Day service of his work speaking at junior high and high schools across the country. He was walking this path from place to place, keeping him centered, giving him time for grieving. For I imagine he watered that path alongside highways with his tears, and that sometimes he screamed into that wind that can howl along those places. He told us of his son, a gentle boy. He told of how much he loved him and that he did not want this for any child in this country. He wanted people to be able to act like those Cape buffalo. He believed that a herd could have saved his son, and all over the place where he walked, he tried to create those herds. On Friday at the Black Lives Matter rally, I saw the faces of some of the bullies that live in this town and county. They feel like they own this town, just like the bullies at schools feel like they own the school. And walking around the courthouse plaza with young people around me, knowing because of a conversation this week with an activist, that young people of color are being targeted right now with messages that they are not welcome here. In fact, that was the message that I heard all around me. Go home, go away. You do not belong here. We do belong here. This is a pivotal moment in this county, in this town, in this country. Each of those young people, including our Ren, has parents, grandparents, many of whom are not in this place. What if one of them were your child, your grandchild? What if the truck with American flags had slowed down by your son or daughter or granddaughter and made a gun with their hand and pretended to shoot and said, "Go back to where you came from"? On Friday, as I was walking up to a wall of humans, many carrying assault rifles, and decided to walk around them, I didn't register fear. For some reason, I don't feel fear in that kind of situation. But I knew that I was afraid. And I stayed because of the people around me. The young people around me were sometimes calling out slogans I didn't like. I won't yell them at you, but I didn't like the way they were expressing their anger. I didn't like it that a woman behind me was flipping the bird at these people who had assault rifles. But I stayed. And I was glad because I was there because bullies have been making people of color feel unwelcome in this town, not just for the past months. This is historical. On the walk, I met the new associate pastor at the United Methodist Congregation, Reverend Ephraim Zafala. And he told me of the execution of 3 people described as Mexicans on that courthouse lawn in the early 1900s. He saw a photo of the scene, so much like the photos you may have seen of lynchings, people of color being killed, surrounded by white people doing nothing. Walking together with Ephraim, we became friends. We were able to breathe in fear and breathe out courage. We have an opportunity here. In talking with Nancy Hudson of the Daily Courier, I said that this town was a kind of microcosm of this nation. I believe that is true. What if we could transform this place? For those of you who have white privilege, this is the time to use it. If we want young people, as you say so often, if we want them to be part of us, we must walk with them. If we want people of color to be part of our community when they are threatened, we must stand by them. When we hear that someone is threatened, my dream is that we have a phone tree, that news goes out, and that we show up. That we show up. My dream is Joe Bell's dream, that we learn to see people under threat as our siblings, our children, our grandchildren, and that we act accordingly. There is no they, there is only we. I am grateful to Ren who has spoken their truth and listened to mine. We have learned from each other, I believe. We are here. As the great Unitarian of the 16th century, Francis David, and many people, it's often my favorite quotes where many people will say, he didn't really say that. I'm glad somebody said this and they wrote it down. We need not think alike to love alike. When we don't understand, let us trust. Let us trust in love. For many walk before us. Martin Luther King Jr., Joe Bell, Pocahontas Gertler, Rosa Parks. Together with Ren Manning, whose spirit will stay with us, even if they go south to Tucson, will stay with us. For Selma is now, and love will guide us. Let us sing together, love will guide us.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us, will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Thank you. I have learned a lot from you and with you, Patty, and I am so grateful for you, Patty, and for each of you. Our closing words. My blessing for you is this. May you know that you carry with you the social justice ministry of this congregation. It's not me, it's not the Social Justice Council. It is each of us as members. It is within our mission statement to promote justice for all. May you be guided by love. May you have courage. May you find courage to have hope. May you identify those things that feel impossible. May you then allow yourself to believe those things, in fact, are possible. May you know that we have everything we need. May you feel our strength. And in the words of Angela Davis, prison abolitionist, academic, and author, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world. And you have to do it all the time. Thank you.
Before we extinguish our chalice, you received a blessing from Ren, and now it is your opportunity. We are opening the chat, and I want you to write your blessings to her. And because we can save the chat, it will be something for them to take with them on their journey. So I believe it is open now, and I'm just going to give about a minute for that. And then we're going to extinguish the chalice. You can send things, of course. We have email that you can send these to as well. But please write your words of blessing to Ren. So while these words are coming, I'm going to show you how to change your signature so that it includes pronouns. And you do that on the upper right-hand corner of your square that is the one that shows you. That if you have 3 dots, you click on those 3 dots and it opens up a menu that one of them is mute my audio. Well, it won't be on yours, but stop video, spotlight video. There's also rename. And that is where you can add your pronouns. And if any of you need a tutorial, ask me sometime during the week. I'll be happy to help. So let us say our extinguishing the chalice words. We extinguish the chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.